Well, it's crunch time as Local Decision 2022 is coming up November 8th, not that far away. Welcome back, North Metro TV. I'm Eric Nelson. Thanks for tuning us in. And with us now, Lori Saroya, running for Blaine City Council, Ward 1. It's a special election. And Lori, thanks for stopping by.
Great, thanks for having me.
Yeah, I know you've been in Blaine now for basically 18 years,
Yes.
so you're very familiar with the inner workings of this city. Tell the viewers what you bring to the table.
Yeah, so I have lived here for 18 years. I've been on the Charter Commission for 7 years. I have a law degree, so I've done a lot of work on contracts and compliance. And I really like Ward 1. I feel like Ward 1 is really the heart and soul of Blaine. You know, it's where we have the National Sports Center, we have the mall, we have the golf tournament, and we have just really amazing people. So this is home for me. This is really where we're raising our family. I have 3 kids, 12, 6, and 2. And so, yeah, so I really am, focused on serving the community. I've worked in nonprofits for 2 decades in executive leadership roles. I've done a lot of work on the state level, actually received the Governor's Community Service Leadership Award for my work around the state. But I'm really now looking to bring my skills and my experience to my community, to my city, specifically Ward 1, and really wanting to advocate for Ward 1.
And I think for most candidates and probably residents, topic 1, 2, and 3 would be Minnesota State Highway 65
Absolutely.
and how to fix that conundrum and get the funding in ASAP. Where do you land? What are your ideas on a road that splits Blaine and really puts a lid on the city?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So I think the one thing to note is that the problems that we're seeing on Highway 65 are in Ward 1, right? So from 85th to 109th, and that intersection 109th is extremely dangerous. I actually saw a really bad car accident there 10 years ago where a young man was killed. And so you would think after one death, there would be serious action and people would, take action and get the money and fix it. And I'm really, shocked that it's taken this long to fix that. I think a lot of Blaine residents, especially in Ward 1, I think we're just, wanting to see that change. And so I'm really excited about the City Council. I think they are definitely taking it seriously. They're making it a priority, getting the funding that we need. So right now we have about 14% of the funding secured. And that's, it seems like a small number, but I mean, we're going somewhere. So it's really, it's good progress. I think it's good momentum. And so I definitely want to contribute to that. My background is nonprofits, and in nonprofits, you fundraise, you get the grants, you advocate and you lobby and you get money as you need it. And that's really what I intend to do, to utilize my relationships at the state level, at the federal level, and use that to bring money to the city.
And I think most people would agree, Blaine is a very good city, very livable.
Absolutely.
If you get Highway 65 fixed, then it elevates the whole city, doesn't it?
Absolutely. But I think what I don't want to see is people just passing through Blaine. Because I do, we have some really amazing businesses in Blaine. And I've actually gone, around Central, around 105th, and just talked to business owners. And, just hearing their stories and how they got started and why, they're in Blaine, it's really, insightful information. And so I definitely want to see a plan where people are stopping and utilizing our business community and, purchasing and spending their money in Blaine and not just using the highway as a way to get to Ham Lake or go up north.
Should there be a downtown Blaine? Should there be a core to this city of 72,000?
Absolutely. I think we do need that. And, I remember the City Hall used to be in Ward 1, where the Mary Ann Young Senior Center is. And, and so I think since that's changed, we are seeing, kind of a difference in the community. So I think there should be, and I love that there's an entertainment district that's coming up and there's, ideas for town, like a town hall. But what I want to see is really the redevelopment of the Northtown area. I think that's a huge need in our community, especially in Ward 1.
Did you have an epiphany? Were you struck by lightning? What made you decide, hey, I want to be on the city council?
That's a good question. So I think for me, it's, it just wasn't like an overnight thing. I think, I've been on the Charter Commission for 7 years. I've lived here 18 years. I've gone to several city council meetings. I've been active in my neighborhood and in my community. And so when the positions opened up, we have one council member who moved, another retired. I just saw it as an opportunity for me to really get involved and do more for my community, and just really take Ward 1 to the next level, because I feel like we're at this pivotal moment right now where we have a lot of opportunities in Ward 1. You know, we have all these visitors and tourists coming from all over the world for the PGA tournament. They're coming from the soccer tournament. The mall has such a good opportunity. I know right now, you know, a lot of businesses have left. People aren't really shopping there, but I see that as an opportunity. We can really revitalize that area.
Yeah, tourism is part of the backbone of Blaine, isn't it?
Absolutely, it is. And I think we need to embrace that. And, you know, and both of my kids play soccer. My son is on the Twin Cities Rush team, so he's been playing competitive soccer for many years. And so he plays the teams from, you know, come from Brazil and Argentina and other countries. But what we see is that, you know, they come here, they play soccer, but then they spend their money in, you know, Minneapolis or St. Paul. And so how do we keep them in Blaine, right? Like, how do we get them to spend their money here and stay here and have fun here? That's really what I'm looking to do. And the National Sports Center, I want to say, too, is such a good opportunity. I actually met a woman who is the national horseshoe champion. And so, you know, she was asking about, well, can we do like a horseshoe tournament at the National Sports Center? And, you know, we haven't really thought about that. So even exploring like what other tournaments can we bring to the National Sports Center and really, you know, make Blaine like this center for sports and activity.
If you're on the council, do you think you can build bridges with the other council members and, you know, collaborate?
Absolutely. I think I've done that throughout my career. I've spent 2 decades working in the nonprofit sector, working with elected leaders. So absolutely. I think when it comes to the issues, I think we all agree. You know, we all want a better Blaine. We all want a safer community. We all want to see Ward 1 thrive and succeed. So on those issues, I think everybody comes together. I don't see any reason why we would not be able to, you know, find solutions.
I know there were maybe some fireworks, or you made a splash by bringing in some residents to talk about apartment buildings at a recent council meeting. What's your version of what happened that night?
Yeah, well, I don't think it was sparks. I think people have the right to speak, right? I think if there's a public forum, people should have the opportunity to speak. And I think what was really troubling for me at that city council meeting was that the founder of the Blaine Veterans Memorial just spoke. You know, so we're talking about people that, you know, literally gave their lives for people's right to speak, for our freedom of speech. And then you have you know, like rules where you can't speak more than 10 minutes. And there's 50 people there. You know, that's not a reasonable number. And I think they were just asking for more time, and that's reasonable. You know, they just, I mean, I know one woman took time off from work to be there. Another woman hired a babysitter. So my goal in that really was to give people the opportunity to speak and express their views. Because of what I'm hearing from my neighbors and my, you know, community members is that we don't want high-rise apartments in our neighborhoods. You know, our roads can't handle it. We already have traffic issues. We're dealing with crime and homelessness. There's so many things that we need to address before we, you know, increase our population density and bring more people into the community.
Would there be repercussions or anything lingering if you sat on the council and, you know, based on that night, or is that just an exaggeration?
No, I think like in my neighborhood, people are actually really happy that I did that, because without them getting an opportunity to speak, the, you know, plan likely would have passed. And, you know, there would be an apartment building, a high-rise apartment building going up in our neighborhood, and you would have people moving out and leaving Blaine. So I think for the community, that's what we need to do. We need to advocate for Ward 1. And that's really a primary reason why I am running, because I haven't seen that kind of advocacy for Ward 1. You know, it should have been the Ward 1 city council members that should have stood up and said, hey, we have 50 people here from Ward 1, from my community. Let them speak. Let them have an opportunity to express themselves and talk about why this is so important to them. But that didn't happen. And it's, you know, it's kind of interesting that I had to step in and get them the right to speak. It's really, and that needs to change. I think, I remember, I've been to many city council meetings, and I remember going, the meetings would go late sometimes because everybody that wanted to speak, Mayor Ryan would allow them to speak. I've never seen a situation in Blaine where people are scared of speaking. The woman who was sitting near me actually asked, you know, will I get in trouble with the police if I speak? And that's outrageous to me. I mean, my parents are immigrants, so we leave, people leave countries for the freedom of speech in this country. And to have somebody fearful of speaking about an apartment building in their backyard and being worried about the police escorting them out for speaking, that is outrageous to me. And I think that is the bigger issue rather than people getting the right to speak.
Your parents being immigrants, do you have a greater appreciation for the USA, Minnesota?
Absolutely, yeah.
Blaine, just because, as you said, it's different in other parts of the world, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I absolutely do. I think I was raised to really be grateful and appreciate everything we have. My parents, like a lot of immigrants, had faced difficulties when they came here. All immigrants have a story. My father, tells how he came, although he had an engineering degree, graduated top of his class, he came with $10 in his pocket, drove a taxi for many years until he was able to build, his career. And there's 5 kids in my family. All of us have master's degrees or graduate degrees. All of us are, in successful careers. So that work ethic that I saw in my father and my family has really stayed with me. And I see that in Ward 1 residents. I see people that are working so hard in our communities, even if they're not immigrants, they're working so hard to give their family a better future and a better life.
And really in the Twin Cities, there's been an explosion of the immigrant population, including Blaine and Anoka County. Can you be somebody who helps facilitate and foster goodwill to get groups to understand each other better?
Absolutely. I think, so I bring a unique perspective because I don't, I'm an Iowan. I grew up in Iowa. I was raised in Iowa. I was raised in a small town. So I identify as an Iowan. I haven't lived, in another country.
Wait a minute, you're going to admit that publicly in Minnesota, right? Very good.
Well, I'm a Minnesotan now, but but that's where I was raised.
Right.
And so, I'm a Midwesterner. I grew up on a farm. I rode horses growing up. We were surrounded by corns and farms. So definitely, I think I have a better perspective, having parents who are immigrants and having traveled all over the world. I've studied abroad in Brazil. I've been to Sudan, Africa, all over the world. And that global experience, I think, helps really build those relationships.
In Iowa, very pastoral, wide open spaces, fertile farmland, as you well know.
Yeah.
Blaine's unique. I mean, it's a 10th largest city in the state, basically, but yet you do have the open area. You do have the charm of what it used to look like. How can you keep the parks and the green spaces here and yet allow the growth?
Yeah, I think there is. They've done a really good job of doing that. So I think in Ward 1 you see that too, where the houses in Ward 1 are not as close together as you would see in Wards 2 or 3, and that's why we stay here. We like that, and that's really hard to find in the metro area, where you have houses that are older, have that charm and that historic charm. So I think definitely there is a balance for that, and like the Northtown area, that's the area that we really need to develop and bring the nicer stores in and really focus on making that a place where we can bring customers and bring businesses and actually make money for the city.
What does Blaine look like if you get Northtown in a better spot, you get Highway 65 up and running like it should be, and then you get a downtown? What would Blaine look like in 10 to 15 years?
I think it would look a lot different. I think, there is a lot of opportunity, especially around Highway 65. There is opportunity, like I said, in Northtown, the entertainment district. So I think it would still have that charm and that culture that, attracts us to the city, but it would have more opportunities. I think we would have, we would catch up to maybe some of the other cities. And we're the largest city in Anoka County. And so, it doesn't make sense to me that we can't have a nice small, like if you go to Maple Grove, they have that nice outdoor mall. Coon Rapids has a better mall than we do. So there are opportunities there. And so I do see Ward 1 really catching up to the rest of the city. And what I hear, and I've knocked 3,000 doors the past few months, what I hear from people is that Ward 2 and 3 look very different from Ward 1. It really looks like 2 different cities, and people are feeling like they've been left behind and they're not getting the same kind of attention in Ward 1. And that's partly true. I mean, if you look at our roads, our traffic, the stretch of highway in Ward 1, and so those are the things that I really want to advocate for, so we can make Blaine thrive and succeed and be beautiful like the rest of the cities.
All right, the floor is yours. convince the viewers why they should vote for Lori Saroya.
Yeah, absolutely. So this to me is, I'm not just looking at it as a 2-year position. This is a long-term investment. I have small kids that I'm raising here. I have lived here 18 years, plan to be here, for another 40, 50 years. So for me, it is how do we continue to grow and succeed as a community? And how do we bring the voices of Blaine Ward 1 residents to the forefront? Because that's been missing. We're talking about the Highway 65, but are we having town halls with the people and the businesses that live there that will be directly impacted by it? We're talking about putting up high-rise apartments in the Northtown area, but are we talking to the residents that live there and will have to have these high-rise apartments overlooking their single-family homes? So having those conversations and doing the outreach, I think, is extremely crucial. And I am someone who's an advocate first and foremost, and will advocate for Ward 1 residents.
Well, thanks for stopping by. Good luck on November 8th.
Thank you so much. Thanks for
right.
having me.
She's Lori Saroya, special election running for Blaine City Council in Ward 1. This is Local Decision 2022.